Can you hear me now?
Yes, Chetan, you're audible.
Right, great. Shravya is here with us.
Not yet.
She knows she's on for today, right?
Yeah. She acknowledged the mail also, which I sent her, the questions and all.
Okay, sounds good. So I'll be a little in and out because I'm at somebody else's house. But yeah. Usko acknowledgement. Are we on? Is everybody else on? I can't see the others.
I'm constantly allowing people in, so we have 13 people as of now. 12, 13.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, Shravya is here.
Lovely. Should we get started? It's 5:03.
Hi, Chetan.
Hi, Shravya. How are you doing?
I actually have a very bad cold. I'm sorry, but you might hear me sneeze. I'll try and mute myself whenever that happens.
As long as you don't give it to us long distance, I guess we'll be all right. So Namrata Namrata will lead this session. I'm
Sure.
outside and you can see I'm on my phone. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Shravya. Welcome to the session and thank you. I assume that we were in contact last year. We actually were looking forward. So I'm glad that it finally happened this way, that we could finally manage to, get you here. It's really great. Just 1 second. I'll just
Thank you, Namrata. Yeah, I remember having a conversation with you. It was somewhere towards the end of last year, and at that point in time, I was traveling a lot, so it was not feasible. But I'm very glad that we could make it.
Yes,
and hopefully it will be a good session.
Yes, that's exactly what I told Chetan, that yes, it would be great. It would be wonderful to speak to her actually.
Thank you.
Okay. So today we have Shravya with us. To give you a brief introduction about her, Shravya Bhinder is the best-selling author of Something I Never Told You, To You With Love, and Something I'm Waiting to Tell You. She loves to keep an eye out for stories she feels are hidden all around her and then write them down. She began writing stories at a very young age. Most of the stories were written to amuse and entertain her family members. With time, small scribbles turned into short stories and later into novels. Previously a corporate employee working in the IT sector, she has worked for HCL and IBM as a language and behavioral coach. She managed to flee the corporate madness after a few years of boredom to become a full-time writer. She's a sucker for romance and strives to pen down exciting stories. She's grown up surrounded by books in a house full of books of all genres, as most of the family members of a joint family read extensively. Fiction fascinated her from the beginning, and she was encouraged to build on her reading habits by her grandmother. Shravya has studied English honors at Delhi University, and she has further pursued a diploma in creative English. When she is not reading and writing, she is out enjoying nature, playing with her dogs, or cooking for her family. She lives in Melbourne with her family in a house with a barren backyard and a lifetime's collection of books. So, Shravya, the first question that we have today for you is, you grew up surrounded by books and were writing since a very young age. You also went on to study English honors, followed by a diploma in creative English. So would it be correct to say you always wanted to be a writer?
Yes, I think so, because I remember scribbling from a very young age. My mother used to call me a storyteller ever since. I did have a lot of interest in reading, thanks to the family, and I remember the first book that I bought for myself was at the age of 3 when we went to a book fair. So I always wanted to see my name in print, and I wanted to write and tell stories in a way that more and more people could read my stories. So even today when I write, my aim is to tell stories. My aim is to reach out to as many people as possible and for them to read my stories. So yes, I think ever since I've thought of becoming something, it has been a writer. No other occupation has interested me so much.
So your best-selling title, Something I Never Told You, was released on Kindle first, and then owing to its popularity, it was picked up by Penguin, from where it went on to become a bestseller. And it still actually features on the Nelson bestsellers list till date. So can you share a bit about your journey from self-publishing to a traditionally published author with 3 bestsellers to your credit?
Yeah, in fact, I would like to answer this in lines with the kind of conversation that we have on the group chat for FDC. So when I began writing, it was, when I thought that I should have a book out, it was in 2015. And at that point in time, I was like most of the people on the group. Everybody we think that we have a story and our aim is to get that published, and that is it. So we want to just get published, and we don't think beyond because we don't know anything beyond it. So I was very naive. I didn't know anything beyond it. So I participated for Ravinder Singh for his Blacking. For Blacking was his venture. Yeah. So he actually thought that it was a boy who was written the story because of the way it was written. When he spoke to me over the phone, he said, "Are you a girl?" I said, "Of course, I sound like a girl. I am a girl." He said, "I thought it's a boy who's written it." So nevertheless, I was expecting at that time, I was expecting my child. So I was very happy. I wrote the book and it got published. But as I said, like most of the people, I didn't know what to do beyond that. So I went to the bookstores, I saw my book, I was very happy. I came back and I thought, that's it. Now I've become a writer. Then I wrote my second book, and I was told by my publisher that my first book didn't sell a lot of copies. All that it sold was, I think, 8,000 copies. It was a mass market fiction. So 8,000 is a small number. So there was a rejection, and I was in Australia. I couldn't do anything about it. I reached out to a few more publishers. One of them agreed to publish the book, but they were giving me a print run of only 2,000 copies. The publishers were very nice. Everything was good. The owner of the publishing house spoke to me. In fact, they are the publishers who've churned out the maximum number of mass market fiction books in the past, I think, 15 years. They are very popular, but their print run is very small. Now, that didn't go in line with my vision for Something I Never Told You. So I went back to Ravinder, and Ravinder, he's very sweet, but he said, "I don't believe it will work." And he told me that romance is not popular anymore, and this is again romance. So I said, it's okay. I believe in it. That is when I cried. I cried in the shower, and I came out and I told my husband, "You know what? We are self-publishing it." He said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." And I didn't know anything about Kindle, the way most people do not know anything about KDP. I didn't know anything about it, but it was on 10th of Feb that I decided to publish it, and on 14th of Feb it became live. Then on 14th of March, I contacted Ravinder again, and I said, "See, it's selling. Can we do something about it?" He said, "I still don't believe in the book. However, I will connect you to somebody." So he connected me to Vishali. And on 10th of April, I signed the contract and pulled the book back from KDP. And then it came out in paperback, and the rest as it is history. So it worked well for me, but yes, a lot of ups and downs, like a movie.
But I think in the end, how I look at it is that before everybody else, you continue to believe in your story.
Yes, and that was
That's
the most
very important. Yeah. That's very important. You had a lot of people telling you that I don't believe in it, but you continue to believe in it. That definitely helps. So as you just told us, so how easy or difficult was it to make this switch? Like even for the second book, I'm sure where you must have faced some rejections, or it was very smooth from the word go, or how did it happen?
So the first book was very smooth. First book I wrote I participated in that contest. A week later, Ravinda called me, and it was very smooth. However, the book went like this. The second book, there were rejections in the beginning, but I believed in the book. It was not a smooth journey. It had its ups and downs. However, I do believe that if you've written something, it makes sense to reach out to as many readers as possible. And KDP, though it provides you a big platform, but it's not big enough. There are a lot of people who want to read only paperbacks. There are a lot of people who would want to touch and feel the book, like I do. Touch and feel the book and smell it and then read it and then go back to it. So I think it was not a very difficult switch because I had a tiny experience with traditional publishing with Black Ink, because it was traditionally published, the first book too, which is now out of print. But Vishali is Vishali Mathur, Chetan. I should have mentioned. Vishali Mathur from Penguin Random House. So it was not very difficult, but I believe that this switch has to be made. If you're opting for self-publishing, no matter what publisher or what mode you're opting for, the final and the ultimate aim should be to go through a traditional publisher. That's what I believe it is.
So what advice would you give to anyone who wants to start their writing journey by self-publishing their books?
First thing is believe in your story. As I said, when I started, there were so many people who told me it will not work. Not one soul told me it will work. Apart from my own self, and self-doubt also creeps in. So there were times that nobody, including myself, was telling me that this will work. But believe in your story, and from the first word that you write or type, know what is the aim of your writing. Why are you writing? Sometimes some people write because they want to write for themselves. They don't care if it gets published. Some people want to write because they want to tell the story to as many people as possible. And then you have to write it that way. If some people want a Sahitya Academy Award, they're eyeing a Nobel Prize, then they write the first word in line with their goal. So if you are aspiring to be a writer, from the word go, know what your goal is.
That's actually a very, very helpful advice, I'm sure. So your writing is a very unique combination of romance plus, thrill and adventure. So was that something that you always aim for, or that came because from what I understand from your bio is that you are interested in romance, but is it something that somebody, the publishers or the literary agents or somebody advised that pure romance might not work because the market is saturated and you thought of adding this, or?
No, in fact, again, going back to all the conversations that we have on FDC, I have been blessed in a way that never ever has a publisher or my editor told me that this will work and this will not work. It's always been people from outside who pour in their thoughts and say, this will not work. But I have never changed my writing style for anyone. I wanted to write humor. But okay. I realized that my humor writing is not that great. Then I switched to romance, but somehow I think I'm very filmy in the head. So my stories can't go all mushy Shah Rukh Khan filmy. They go into very Bollywood and Bollywood style other kind of stories, wherein there is romance, but there is a parallel story running, and I find that kind of writing very easy. It comes very easily to me. So though nobody has told me, but I think this has worked for me. So because it's worked for me, I'm more comfortable now writing such books.
Sure. So you've used social media very effectively by gathering a massive following. So how much of it do you think has helped in your books becoming bestsellers? And also, there is one thing that I want to add to this, though I didn't add it in the questions, is that do you think your not being in India somewhere helps or is a disadvantage in marketing your books in India? That is something that I'm very curious to know.
So obviously, there is a disadvantage. I can't meet people. I can't see people. I can't go for book launches. I can't even go to see my book being there on in a bookstore, on a display. There are disadvantages, and there are only disadvantages. There's no advantage. So there is disadvantages of being outside India. But having said that, I do not actually think that I have a massive following. I've seen that people have 1 million followers, and my Instagram is only 14,000. My Facebook is only 70 odd thousand. What I think has happened is that my social media, because I do not do reels and I don't do content, my social media followers are very relevant. They follow me because they read my books. So when I post something, it actually reaches the readers and not people who have joined my Instagram page to get entertained. Because I don't put, in fact, I do not post for months at a time. So yes, I think that ways I've used my Instagram a little, slightly more differently from how people use it. I have not gone all crazy on Instagram and I'm not connected, but I think that has helped the book or books. But being outside India is actually not a very good thing if you are trying to promote a book in India. Most of the time, my books are out of stock. Like something I never told you is currently out of stock. I can't do much about it. So it is a disadvantage.
No, but I would like to tell you that actually for an author who's not in India and who's in bestsellers list, this is a very brilliant following that you have. And your response rate is actually very good. The interaction, I was checking all those your social media handles and everything for making these questionnaires and all, because I like to go through everything and understand what the author is about. So I just saw that you have actually made it what it should be. It's an extension of you. You've kept your family aside. It's not about your family or anybody. It's an extension of you. So if I ever want to know like who is Shravya behind the book, who's that person, this social media handle actually gives me that idea. So that's the right answer. Yeah. So that's actually, that's a very brilliant reflection of that on social media. I went through that. You've done it very well. Yeah. So that brings us to the end of the questions. Would any of you want to ask any questions to Shravya?
I think I keep answering so many questions on FDC's WhatsApp. So
yeah.
Are you asking me?
Anybody? I'm like, we have opened. I come to the end of the questions with what I had drafted for her. So I was just asking if anybody had any questions.
See, I told you I have. Okay. Yeah.
Shalini wants to know, what is your writing process?
So when I began, I used to scribble in diaries, and I have always maintained that. So writing in diaries is one thing, and then I mostly start with a concept, an end-to-end concept, which does not necessarily turn out the way I plan it in the beginning. When the actual book comes out. However, I start with a base, and then I keep thinking about the base, and I think and think and think, and then I join something like this FDC, wherein I have to pour everything out. So my writing is crazy writing. I call myself a crazy writer. When I start writing, I can write for 12 hours, 13 hours. I can go crazy typing, and then I vent it all out, and then I take a break. I detach myself from the story, a tiny little break of a couple of days, and then I go back to the story, read it as a reader, and then edit it. So it's really not the traditional way people say write every day, which is a very good practice. If you do it, it's amazing. But I can't do it because I read a lot. So I read, I think, read, think, then crazy writing. This is my writing process.
Okay. The next question is, ever considered publishing outside India?
I have. That is why I was very interested in Kanishka Gupta's session, and that was one of the reasons why I joined FDC. I wanted to talk to an agent. I wanted to
I remember
understand
our conversation. You had asked me about it when we had not yet announced his name. You had asked me that.
Because I really want to know what exactly goes on in getting published outside India. How is the manuscript picked? What kind of stories are picked? How does the agent help you? Because currently my experience with an agent has only been picking up the manuscript and handing it over to a commissioning editor, and that's all that my agent did when I worked with one particular book. So yes, I do, and I do have a couple of stories, and I would want to write them in a way that they appeal to people outside India, because reading culture outside India is completely different. My 5-year-old reads a book on his own. He doesn't need help. So reading culture is completely different. The kind of books that they read is completely different. So I would like to explore that for sure in the next 5 years, I should say. I want to mature enough before I do it.
Oh, that's brilliant. So Nivedita wants to know, were you working full-time and writing on the side for a while? When did you decide to quit your corporate job?
You will think that I'm very dumb, but I never liked my corporate job. I worked for 7 years. And I did scribble a lot. I did send in a manuscript to Kanish Gupta. He was starting writer side. I think I don't know if he was starting writer side, but it was in 2010.
Yeah.
Chetan would know around what time did Kanishk start writing.
Around that time only. He would have been starting at that time.
That time, yeah.
Yeah, so he scolded me on the email. He said, "This is pathetic writing." So I went back to him later, and I still keep going back to him every now and then. I keep disturbing him. Would you be interested in this? Would you be interested in this? But then he was the first one who told me, "This is pathetic writing. Improve." So I took a break, and then I was getting married in 2013. So I said, "Bas ab ho gaya. Now I want to write." I told my husband that I have enough savings. I want to exhaust my savings and write. So that is when I started writing completely. But the good thing is that I had diaries and diaries full of work to go back to. So I was kind of writing all the way, but an actual book came in when I was on a break.
That's interesting. So I'm sure Kanishka's observation in last session would actually have meant a lot to you when he said that,
Yes,
that
yes, I was so happy.
Want to hear her.
Grinning from ear to ear, literally, I was so happy.
Yeah. So Shailesh wants to know, which course is the diploma in creative writing that you have done? Is it from Henry Harvin or anything else? Has the diploma helped in your writing process? I'm not sure.
I've done two diplomas. I have one diploma which is from IGNOU, which was very extensive. I don't know why people underestimate IGNOU. When you tell them IGNOU, they say, "Oh, IGNOU." Go through the material, and it's extensive. It was a course in Diploma in Creative English, DEC. And then I did a diploma in creative writing from Swinburne University here, Melbourne. So that was a 2-year diploma. I think both the diplomas actually helped me a lot, because they open your horizons like anything. Earlier, I used to think a reviewer, a reviewer on Instagram, their word is very important. Now I don't consider their word important, because when I read the review, I don't see it in the format. And when I don't see it in the format, I know that they've just written it for the heck of it. I now consider people who've reached anywhere because of their writing. I know what they've gone through. And I also read a book and kind of self-evaluate my work and compare it with, other writers. So I think doing a diploma or doing any sort of course or workshop for writing, it's very important. I know there are a lot of lots and lots of writers, especially under the mass market fiction umbrella. They say, I have not done anything. I've not read a book. I never read a book and I just started writing. So good for them. But I believe that one should read, participate, and study as much as possible. That helps.
Sure.
I want to add a small thing here because the question specifically mentions Henry Harvin. So Henry Harvin is more about learning writing for placement. They talk about writing and placement in the same breath. So their focus is more on like content writing or professional writing, career writing kind of thing, as opposed to getting into the skill of writing. So just make sure that you understand the differentiation when you're considering. I mean, I don't know much about them, but what little I know that they're really job oriented, which is very different from a craft oriented kind of a program. So yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So Nivedita has another question for you. Was your novel the first thing you wrote and published, or did you start with short stories, blogs, or something else? Shravya, we can't hear you.
So while we're waiting for Shravya, I'll sing you all a song, okay? Just because we have to like fill in the gap. Okay, what language do you want the song in? Just kidding. I don't know how it would work to ever sing a song on Zoom. And that would be a very quick way of ending this session at least. Never mind the roundup of the word count.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Now we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm technologically challenged, okay? I'm so sorry.
No problem. So yeah, Nivedita was wanting to know if this was the first thing that you wrote and published, or did you start with short stories, blogs, or something else?
I actually wanted to do some blogging, and a couple of my friends are very good bloggers, but I couldn't get the hang of setting up a blog. So unfortunately, I couldn't get into blogging. However, I wanted to. So yes, the books were the first published things, published form of works that came out for me.
Okay, Renu wants to know, you said you follow your own style, but once you get into a group like this, you feel you may have to change the way you write?
No. I am very comfortable and confident when it comes to my style of writing. And I'm, I might find, you might find me rude, but as a writer, there are things that come from within and you can't change them. So your style of writing is something that comes from within. It will evolve as I evolve as a person. It will not evolve if I've joined something. It might evolve after 4 or 5 or 6 FDCs, because I will evolve as a person after 4, 5, 6 FDCs. If I just join a group and the group starts discussing things, I listen to it, I go through stuff, I do a lot of research also, but it doesn't impact me enough to change my style of writing. So I believe that as changing style of writing, changing anything about your writing, it's a very long process. So it's not like change ho gaya. It doesn't happen like that. It shouldn't happen like that. It shouldn't happen like that, because this is a part of you. This is a part of your individuality.
Right. True. Nupur wants to ask, how are you doing on your current book? Would you say you are far more confident of traditional publishing than you were with your first book now?
Yes, I do know about the challenges of publishing. I do know how to market a book. So I am a bit more confident. However, everything is ever changing. When COVID hit us, we were like, everybody, we didn't know what to do. It was all a different play. We were all in a very different world. So I am confident about marketing. I am confident about publishing, the process, but you can never be confident about whether or not you can make your next book a bestseller. It's always flip of a coin. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, and it's all good.
Shailesh is asking, what was your experience when you were editing your first draft? Any suggestions that you can provide for someone going to edit their first draft?
Okay, as I said, Kanish Gupta scolded me. So that was the first draft. I I didn't edit it, and I learned at the hard way that you should edit it. So I will talk about the second book. And yes, I didn't know at that point in time. So one thing that I want to say, I am so much in awe of everybody on this FDC because you guys know so much about publishing. I didn't know that there were reviewers. I didn't know that there were something like Grammarly that exists. I didn't know that you had to get your first draft edited or self-edited for that matter. I just wrote crazily and sent it. So after the rejection, I did read the first draft. I didn't write the complete end-to-end story. It was just the first 3 chapters, which were roughly 3,000 words. I didn't want to waste my time, and I'm so lazy. And a synopsis, but I did read it for a few days. I took printouts. I made my husband read it. I made my friends read it. So I didn't know they're called beta readers. At that point in time, I didn't know. But yes, I did work as much as I could as per my capability and understanding for my first draft, and that did have change a lot because it was accepted.
Right. Okay. Shalini Shukla wants to know, I struggle with show versus tell. Any advice or suggestions?
It might find funny, but read a lot of indie readers, indie writers, not readers. Read a lot of indie writers. The reason I have come across gems, especially titles available on Kindle Unlimited, any genre, you pick it up, and the kind of inspiration that you get, it's unexplainable. So I have another example of show versus tell. There was something called Kyuki, started by a lot of people, and Chetan Bhagat was a part of it. Does anybody remember Kyuki? It was a website.
Not sure.
Okay, it was a quirky little website started by 6 people. There was a musician on it. There was Chetan Bhagat on it. There was somebody else, and I had submitted a paragraph on it, and Chetan Bhagat responded onto it, saying that it is a very well written paragraph. However, I was telling and not showing. And after that, to receive a feedback from Chetan Bhagat, I was like, must be very bad. But then after that, I started reading a lot of indie writers, and I realized that yes, reading made the most, reading made it very easy for me. When I sit on a computer, I think the way I read. So earlier, if I would say there is a yellow folder lying here, now I would not look at it as a yellow folder. I would look at the yellow folder with the contents, with the angle that it's placed in, along with the way the light is hitting on it. So I think if you are struggling with anything in terms of writing, just identify what exactly are you struggling with and read books. And while you read books, always remember, okay, this is exactly what I struggle with. So this is how it can happen. This is how it can happen. And make notes. This is what I did, and it worked for me. Too much gyan, na? I get
That's what we are here for.
I really get very excited when I talk about that. Crazy.
Okay, Shalini has another question for you. So how much do you edit? Like how many drafts do you work on before you go in for a professional editor?
Okay, so to answer your question, Shalini, again, going back to what is your goal from your writing. Now, if you want to publish, say, a mass market fiction, not a lot of editing is required because your editor will edit. However, to reach that stage wherein the editor looks at your work. If you have to, convince an agent first, then yes, do at least 3 levels of editing. In my case, because I send it directly to Vishali Mathur in Penguin, and she is very nice and kind, and she kind of ignores all the typos that I write. I do 2 levels. However, if I have to involve somebody like Kanish Gupta, I would do 4 to 5 levels of editing, wherein 3 would be self, then I will involve another editor, and then I will go through 1 more round of self-editing, even after it's come back from the editor, because it's my work, it's representing me, and I have to convince an agent to present it for me. So it really depends on what exactly is your, what exactly is your requirement. Did I answer that question? What was the question?
She's asked how much do you edit? Like how many drafts do you work on?
So currently I do 2 to 3, but hopefully when I send something to an agent abroad, I will do more.
Okay, Michelle is asking, is this when you pitch to Kanishka? I'm sorry, Michelle, I'm not sure we got your question.
I have not pitched anything to Kanishka. I just am very, I really like the fact that he pitches things and they go to Booker. It is amazing.
Yeah. So Renu has asked a question which actually I've been waiting to ask. So writing seems to be easier than the actual marketing. What tips can you give to promote one's book?
Okay. So, see, because I live abroad, I have to rely on word of mouth. Now, I know for a fact that a lot of people insist on Amazon marketing because your book is available on Amazon. I've never done Amazon marketing. I tried once, it was too expensive, so I left it. I tried it for 3-4 days. I rely completely on word of mouth. Completely. And I also think that whatever efforts your publisher puts in, they know what they're doing. So whatever efforts your publisher puts in is the way to go about it. I do not believe that, featuring in newspapers or magazines or doing fancy book launches is going to sell your books. They will sell the books momentarily. So you go to a book launch, you sell 50 copies, yes, that will happen. But whether or not the book will pick up eventually depends on word of mouth. So for me, because I'm in a completely different boat, I do not visit India that often, word of mouth helps. And to garner, to achieve that, I rely on my readers because I have a very close-knit community. I told you I have only 14,000 followers, but those 14,000 people are actually readers. So I ask them to promote it for me. I ask them to review it for me. I ask them, sometimes when somebody comes to me and says, I'm a part of a book club, I say, why don't you pick it up in your book club? So I do go out of my way and interact with my readers, but that's all that I do. I love interacting with my readers. I don't waste a lot of time in other activities like making reels and all on Instagram. Not my cup of tea.
That's interesting. So KK, okay, Michelle is asking, pitch to an agent. Is this when you pitch to an agent? Okay, is that was your question? Yeah, Michelle, that's what she meant actually. What she meant is that you need to know whom you are sending it to. So if your agent is somebody like Kanishka, who's at that level in that literary circles, you edit it multiple times, you ensure that it is completely error-free. You don't want your impression to go out as somebody who sent a work which is poorly edited. But if when she sends it to her own commissioning editor in Penguin, she's more comfortable in doing so, in sending a less edited version, because she feels that we have that level of understanding already between us. That's what she wanted to say to that. Yeah, so we move to the next question, which is by KK. In your view, who has been great with book marketing for a debut writer? Not the famous ones, but somebody who's done well.
In the recent times, I have noticed that Indian market is surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody can predict what will work and what will not work, especially in terms of a debut book. So sometimes we were talking about poetry last session and also on the WhatsApp chats, and we digressed that poetry doesn't work, and I did not agree with it because somebody like Ashish Bagarecha, I think I pronounced his name
He's
correctly.
there in the bestsellers list this week. Yeah, he's there in the bestsellers list, and he's a Kindle published author. Absolutely.
Sells poetry. Then there's called Abhinav or Anubhav Verma, Abhinav Verma, who writes English.
Yeah, English. Mind for 4 p.m. something like that.
Yeah,
kind of a book. And I was also surprised to see that it's an English book, and it's traditionally published by HarperCollins. I mean, it's not even self-published or anything, and it's there in the HW Nelson bestsellers list.
So these people are very popular on Instagram, and when they were, when the first book came out, they were still very popular, just like Rupi Kaur. I think that's the pattern that they all followed. So for a debut writer, word of mouth is very important because they were popular on Instagram. They said we are coming out with a book, and thanks to all the word of mouth, the book started selling, and anything and everything can sell. Any debut writer can sell. Any format of book can sell. Any kind of story can sell. You just have to find out who is going to read your book and then approach them and lure them by sending samples. This is what I do. I lure people. I say, read the sample, and once you read the sample, you are compelled to read the rest of the story.
Very, very important. Yeah. So Shalini is asking, so you don't send to a professional editor before sending to an agent? I have been asked by an agent to get my manuscript professionally edited. Your insights on this, please.
Yeah. So Shalini, this was my phase in 2010 when Kanish Gupta said that this will not work. So he, at that point in time, if I would have sent another story to him, before sending it to him, I would have gotten it, read and reread and edited. Now, if you're in the literary circle and somebody says that get it edited, and the agent is very good and is interested in your work and just says, I am interested in your work, but you know what? Why don't you get it edited? In that case, I would get it edited because you don't know where exactly would your book reach. It can reach the bookers. However, if it's somebody who is not very interested in your work and says, take my services, pay me $50,000 rupees, pay me 50,000 rupees, and I will edit your book and then I will present it, then I would rather not do it. So it actually depends on how interested is your agent. How interested is your agent? How well connected is your agent? What is your level of confidence on that agent? And how much do you believe in your work? If you think it's good the way it is, then it is good the way it is. We are writers. We can self-edit a lot of our work. However, sometimes, it's too lengthy and it needs to be shortened, and we are not that cruel to our own work. And in that case, yes. So I would completely leave it up to you. If your agent is good enough, has faith enough in your work, enough faith, then go for it.
Thanks. I don't think there are any more questions. Chetan, would you like to take over?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Shravya. That was awesome. That was very, very helpful. So thanks for sharing that. It's always inspiring to hear the journeys of authors, and your ups and downs have been especially interesting. So thanks a lot. So I was just looking at, so I'm really missing Ram because Ram is normally our analysis guy. He sent me a message earlier today saying he can't make it. He's a CA. Today is the 31st of July. So you know what that means. So, but I was looking through the word count and some very very commendable statistics. The total word count seems to be 2.5 lakh words. And I know some people have set very low targets. They're doing poetry. Some people are editing their work as part of the FDC. So there's not really a word count in the traditional words written sense. Sorry, it's a noisy place.
So yes, to that extent, I think this FDC 2.5 lakhs for about 60 people is an average, which is on the lower side, 4.5 odd thousand per person. But having said that, Lee is probably like 1/4 of that word count at 60,000 words. So awesome job. Big round of applause for Lee. Fabulous, fabulous. Then we have two people who are in the 30 to 50,000 word count. One of whom is Shravya. So Shravya, I remember when we had started, your goal was doing about
55,000 to 60,000, yeah.
So you
Then
hit 35
cold
and
happened.
15 days to go.
Yeah, I know. I will do it. Trust me, I will do it. I have a lot of work pending in my diary.
So
I will finish it up. Yeah.
2,000 words a day now for the next 15 days.
With cold.
And the other person was Sham Vijay Simha, who's done 34,148 words. Don't know if Sham is here in the group, but awesome job for you also, Sham. I'm glad. I'm assuming, Shravya, that this helped. Did this help the FDC, or was it a distraction? Sometimes I think the WhatsApp might be just too much action.
No, I only check WhatsApp twice a day, the group WhatsApp. But yes, it did help me come out of the block that I was in, and it was very inspiring. I read so many things from, as I said, these people know so much about publishing that sometimes I get to know something new. Sometimes I get to know a different perspective, see things from a different angle. So I think it's been very good. It's been very inspiring.
Sorry. Then you have Neil, who finished a little over 20,000 words. And then you have 3 more people who did 10 to 20,000. So lots of people who did serious numbers of writing, at least 6 books which are closer to being finished, and a lot many more who are in the 5,000, 7,000 range. So, work that has happened. So great work. Now, as an update for the next FDC, Namrata, you want to talk about the guests and the plan and everything else?
Yeah, so we have some very interesting guests coming over in September. We have Jayaprada Vasudevan, the founder of Jacaranda Literary Agency. We will also have Shatrujit Nath. He is one of the best-selling authors of mythological fiction, and he's been published by Jaipo. And his recent series has been commissioned for a screen. Then we have Shivapriya. She's a publisher at Bloomsbury, India, and she specializes in literary and translations. And in the end, we will have Divya Prakash Dubey, a Hindi writer, a best-selling Hindi writer, and also a screenplay writer. I'm not sure if you all would have seen, but one of the recent shows that is trending these days, Dr. Aurora, has been written by him along with Imtiaz Ali. It's actually one very popular show which is on air right now, Chetan.
Yeah. So we've actually had Divya with us on the show earlier. And when we did the show last time, the focus was more on Hindi writing. He's a very well-known Hindi writer, and he's written, I think, 5 books and 2 collections of short stories. But this time we called him again because I realized that there was this whole screenplay writing aspect to what he does. And so we're going to be emphasizing and focusing more on the script piece as opposed to, and in India, of course, that goes hand in hand with a lot of it is Hindi. It lands up being delivered in Hindi. It lands up being done in Hindi. So yeah, so I'm pretty excited. And this one is in September. And after that, we won't have an FDC in this year. After that, the next FDC will happen only in February of 2023. So so I'm excited about that. Anybody wants to share anything about this experience, or talk about anything, then please do. This is now a good time. And Namrata, also for the reviews, the HWR online, if you can share that review on the WhatsApp group, that would be great. Yeah. Anyone? Floor's open.
Nupur has raised her hand. Nupur, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. Hi, both of you and everybody else. I just wanted to say that this was my first FDC, and it was my first novella as well. And for both those things going, the tracker was one of the best instruments I had around. To keep a record of what my progress was. I finished on early, and I wish that I had more words jotted in, and I knew what my count was actually going to be, because 20,000 words clearly wasn't enough. But I managed that, and I'm very happy to tell you that I'm on my edit right now. So yes, it's been kind of a milestone for me. So thank you, FDC 8. This was really a great beginning for me.
Awesome. Thank you. We are so glad that it helped.
So glad it helped as well.
Michelle, do you want to share something with us?
Not yet, not yet. I haven't written enough, but I will. I'm on the WhatsApp group and I will. You're on mute, Chetan.
Yeah, Michelle and Prachi are two participants of FDC who were physically at the retreat in July. So I know a little bit more about them, but I don't want to kind of, say stuff for them.
I'm happy to share about the retreat, and I would highly
No. I was
recommend
asking
it
you about
because
your writing in progress, but yeah, if you want to go ahead.
I will. No, I'm happy to share about the retreat, and it was very useful for me. Along with this, I did both together. From having no community at all of writers, of not knowing any writers, to be in two such great communities was really sort of the catalyst, because this one had so many ideas and tools from so many published authors. I think Shravya mentioned, I also learned a lot. The feedback, the energy, the sort of just the sheer.
Can't hear you now.
Dropped off. Michelle dropped off, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Nilesh, you have your hand raised. Would you like to go next?
Yeah, maybe just quickly. So, I mean, just I am not among the top list in terms of numbers. I must have done, I think, 3,000 odd words, but this is 3,000 words after 4 years of complete drought. So I think in that context, personally for me, it stands out. I mean, I finally managed to start something. So I think it really helped, and the number of, I think, WhatsApp messages that I have starred. I don't know how to select those stars once again. Must be running into like 20s. So I think that was amazing. It's the community. It's, I think, the feeling that others are doing. So maybe you get a little bit of push. So that way, I think it's been great for me, and Chetan and Namrata, really appreciate you putting this together. Thanks a ton.
Thank you. Renu, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I just want to thank FDC 8, for this superb opportunity, because like right in the beginning, I told you I was a very solitary kind of writer, just, writing things my own style, my own way, and thinking, yeah, this is the way to go, and being highly impatient about the whole process. I was always been in a tearing hurry to get my stuff out there. So I never waited for, getting feedback from people, or getting my stuff beta read, or even sending it to somebody for some critical kind of feedback before I actually went and published it. Now, of course, I'm a self-publisher so far, but I understand the necessity of learning how to improve yourself, because it's like this. It's like what Shravya also said, that when you start writing, you think, okay, this is just fine. You just want to go ahead. It's your style of doing things. But then when I read the wonderful chats, the knowledgeable chats on our group, I realized that there's something more to being very individualistic. One has to go with the kind of style that is accepted, and perhaps the next step would be, now I'm more encouraged to look at my own manuscript again, and perhaps pitch it to traditional publishing. So there are a lot of things that I've learned from this group, like to some extent, about editing, and a great extent, I would say, about editing and looking at your own work rather critically, and having people give feedback. So I really thank this group for bringing this out. And like I said, I'm basically a poet, so my word count isn't all that great. But I've never really worried that much about word count again. It's what I feel like writing. Even when it's a short story, my short stories don't go beyond, say, 3,500 words. So I generally limit myself to that. So within this month, I could write 2 short stories, and I'm really grateful for the comments of my friends on this group. Thanks a lot, Chetan and Namrita. I had a tremendously good time. Look forward to the next FDC also.
Sure, you're welcome. I think Michelle is back. Michelle, you were saying.
Sorry.
You sound like you're on a very patchy connection.
From this community.
I think she's still on a very bad connection, Namrita.
Yeah.
Kanwal's hand is up. Maybe you can let him.
Kamal, would you like to go next?
Yeah, this is my second FDC, and all I want to compliment Chetan and Namrita is that my whole idea about this craft of writing, it has evolved. And my biggest takeaway has been that every Sunday session, from whatever I'm able to jot down, it gives me enough pointers to work for the whole week and read on my own and expand my horizon of what this whole world is about. And earlier I was in a hell of a hurry, tearing hurry, after I so tired to somehow get my book out. So now that hurry is out, and now I'm deliberate about learning the paces. So thanks, and it's been wonderful reading everything. I read every single word which comes on the WhatsApp group, and it's really amazing. Thank you.
Thanks. Vishakha, your hand is also up. Would you like to go next?
Yeah. So I'm really thankful for this FTC. It wasn't that great word count wise, but I discovered some really amazing people in the community. In fact, one of the participants from the group lives just next door to my house. I can see her house right now from my window.
Wow.
So yeah, it was so lovely, and we're in fact planning to meet sometime in the coming week. So yeah, that's been great, and in fact all those WhatsApp group conversations were like so inspiring, and I read a lot during the whole month, so that has been rewarding. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, Lee, you had your hand up as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly, well, first of all, to thank you both. This is my first FDC, and I've found it very, very motivational. I enjoyed it very much. And I just wanted to quickly echo what a lot of other people have already said, that this group has been very special to me insofar as I find, at least as myself, as a writer, that we tend to be very reclusive, and sharing our thoughts, our perceptions, and even our work with other writers. We had a talk about it on the chat the other day. It's very easy to do in a public forum, but to share with other writers, a lot of us tend to pull in our antennae, and it's a very difficult thing to do. And so we end up, maybe not getting the feedback from proper sources that we really need. But yeah. I found that in this group in particular, that was a lot easier to do. And I feel I've connected really well with some people here, and I truly hope that those friendships continue into the future. And I just wanted to thank everyone for being a part of it, and thank you very much for hosting and having this this great event. And I'll be back.
Sure. Thank you.
Cool. So no further questions. This is starting to this is always gratifying. But and I'm glad that we were able to help so many people. So come back in September, and my only request is give even more money to the Chirag School. It's a lovely school. I wish I could take you guys there. There's lots of stories that come out of there as well. But yes, it's a wonderful little village school. It's 3 kilometers from the retreat. And if any of you is looking for a physical getaway, we always have a couple of writers who are coming and staying at our place and hanging out. And it's a nice vibe. So so yeah, consider consider taking a break and coming over. But yeah, with that, I think we're done. Anything else we need to add then, Namrata?
No, we are done.
All right, great. Thank you so much, folks. All the best for your books. If anything gets published, even if you put a poem out there. By the way, I should mention that during this FDC, Ram got one poem published at Amar Ujala, and Sheetal Agarwal got 3 of her poems published in Amar Ujala, which is a Hindi magazine. And all of them were an outcome of the writing prompts from FDC 8. So yay for that. And yeah, so even small stuff like that, we love to shout about it. It's always great to have a community that's doing well, and we're happy that we help in any small way. And we'll probably see you all in September. All right.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.